Hello everyone, hope you're having a great day. Today I'll be doing my first ever AI story. This story I created is completely fiction. However, it could relate to many stories of single men that have searched for love abroad as a foreigner in Southeast Asia. So today's story will be about an elderly man named Brian. Brian just turned 67 last week. He's lived most of his life in the United States of America and is currently receiving his old age pension to spend and live out the rest of his retirement years in peace. The money Brian has saved has been accumulated over his lifetime of working and saving. Brian in person is a nice, respectable man with a bubbly personality. Brian was married 2 times in his lifetime and has gone through 2 divorces. Brian has 2 kids with his last wife and even grandchildren. Brian, despite having his own children and grandchildren, was deeply affected by his last divorce. It really took an emotional toll on him. It would keep him up late at night, thinking if he had done things differently, how his life would turn out. Despite the divorce, he still spends time with his daughter and grandchildren, and even maintains a neutral friendship with his ex-wife despite the separation. He knows he will do what it takes to keep his family and his kids happy, but deep down he knows there comes a time in his life where he must seek his own happiness. Brian had sacrificed a lot for his family, and after his last divorce said that he's had enough. This was his final attempt at ever trying to find love. He just wants to see his children happy and live on with their lives. He would also like to do something for himself, something different. There was something he had always dreamt of doing. Brian had thoughts about traveling and moving abroad. He had thought about moving to Southeast Asia to start a fresh new life and live out the rest of his retirement years. The country Brian had in mind was Thailand. Brian thought maybe he could meet someone new and younger in Thailand and live out the rest of his retirement years in tropical paradise. The time had come. Brian had booked his plane ticket, arranged plans for his visa in Thailand, and packed his suitcase. He said his goodbyes to his children and told them he would never forget them and would call them every day. He would soon be on board a long 18-hour flight to Southeast Asia, with no plans of returning back to his old life. He was nervous and anxious, but saw the palm trees out the airplane window. A wave of curiosity hit him. He'd be in a country where English isn't the first language. The currency will look much different. The food will be spicier and will have new flavors. And the culture will be nothing like he's ever experienced in his lifetime of living out in the West. He's about to live a fantasy many men could only dream of. But the truth is, living in such a place requires a strategic amount of thinking and planning. He's not going for a 3-week vacation. This is a place he intends to spend the rest of his life and retirement living until he dies. Meet Pim. Pim is a young, beautiful Thai woman that lives in Isan province of Thailand. She lives with her grandparents, her aunt, and her uncle. Pim did not grow up in a rich home. However, she knows how to make money when she needs it and where to look when she needs to get that money to help her family pay their expenses. Pim has dated many Western foreigners in the past. She's not new to the game. Pim has spent some time in Pattaya working in bars to make money and to send back home. She willingly seeks out foreign guys at bars. It's her way of gaining their trust and even a potential man that could support her financial needs.
Hello, darling. Oh, I like you so much. You look handsome. Oh my God. I like you. Oh my God, please.
This time, Pim will be working at a few bars on the side while also looking for other ways to make money in Pattaya. Pim's uncle reaches into his wallet to grab some money. This money will be used for her to pay rent in Pattaya for a few months while she goes to work at the bars and also look for ways to make more money. Pim says goodbye to her family in Isan country and heads on a bus to Pattaya city to stay there and work. Meanwhile, Brian is spending his time in Pattaya city and blown away by the culture. He is amazed at how affordable Thai food was. He hasn't quite developed a taste for the spice level in Thai food, but for the price it costed, he's not complaining. Brian visited the nightlife, Pattaya city, and for a moment, he felt like a young man again. He was getting catcalled by beautiful Thai women on Walking Street. He was drinking beers, enjoying his new life. Every day felt like a new adventure to him. He had visited the local beach, and it all felt great. He looked younger, and he could even smile again. He had completely forgotten his past life in the West and was embracing this new life he created for himself in Thailand. Brian eventually got curious about finding someone he could date. So, Brian downloaded Tinder, and as he was scrolling across Tinder profiles, he came across a beautiful young Thai woman. The name of that woman was Pim. She had set up a profile in Tinder, not in the clothes she wears at working at the bar. Him and Brian exchanged messages. Brian responded back, and first, it would just be conversations about Pattaya, Thailand, the lifestyle. Then it got more personal. Pim wanted to meet up with Brian. After meeting up in person, Brian was completely stunned by Pim's beautiful presence. She was wearing a traditional Thai dress. It started with them texting. Now they're doing dates all over Pattaya. Brian hasn't felt this type of energy from a woman in a long time, let alone a beautiful young one too. He was under a complete love spell by Pim's presence. She spoke English pretty well, enough for him to understand. Brian was not the only old guy to be dating a young Thai woman. There were many older foreigners dating young Thai women in Pattaya. She wasn't rushing Brian into dating her. She was slowly earning his trust. After a couple of dates, Pim asked Brian if he would like to visit her and her family in Isan country. It would be a bus ride away, and she could cook for him some local Thai dishes, which he was starting to get accustomed to. Brian thought to himself, what could possibly go wrong? I have a beautiful young woman inviting me into her home. She must really see something in me. Pim's family waited for her in Isan. They had heard stories of Brian from Pim and were waiting for the both of them to arrive to Pim's home. Brian met Pim's grandparents, her aunts, uncles, and even siblings at home. Not a single one of them spoke English aside from Pim. Some of her siblings knew a few English words, but they all spoke Thai. Pim spoke with her aunt and uncle and asked if it's okay for Brian to stay here. They of course spoke in their own language and said, he's a bit old, but he's welcome to stay here. Are you sure you want to be with him? Brian didn't understand a word of Thai, so he had no clue what Pim was talking about with her family. Pim told her uncle in Thai that he's an old man, yes, but he is collecting his pension. He told me this on one of our dates in Pattaya. So, the uncle and aunt just smiled at Brian. Brian took this as he was welcomed there. When Brian was sleeping in Pim's bed, Pim spoke with her uncle. Pim's uncle told her that we must find a way to get money for Brian when he wakes up. He's a stranger in our home. We cooked for him, and he stays with us now, but we need to get something from him in return. So, Pim and her family came up with a plan to get Brian to pay money for something she needed done to the home. When Brian woke up, he saw Pim looked upset. He asked her, what's wrong? She said that her uncle and aunt said the home needs repairs because of the cracks in the walls and leaks in the pipes, which she told them she has no money for. Brian saw Pim's aunt and uncle almost with a pleading expression on their face, so Brian thought he could help them out. After all, they did invite him over to their home. Brian went to a local ATM with Pim. He withdrew 7,000 Thai baht. He then gave the money to Pim, which he took back home to give to her uncle and aunt. As the week went on, Pim's family continued to find ways to have Brian pay for things. They had Brian buy things for them at the market, buy them food, furniture, rent a motorcycle. Brian was starting to get tired of giving out his money. So one day when Pim was sleeping, Brian sneaked out and went to a local bar in Isan. Brian had then met another expat living in Thailand. He had a conversation with the expat which told him, don't you know, man? Everything is about money here. Thai woman will suck you dry of your money. You'll be left with nothing in the end. Brian was in denial at first, but he wanted to see what would happen if he didn't give money to Pim or her family for a day. When Brian returned to Pim wanted to go to the local supermarket. Pim asked Brian if he could buy her clothes and a bag. This made Brian furious, and he yelled at him, I don't have any more money for you. And this created anger. Pim's uncle said in Thai, if he has no more money, then you must go find yourself a new boyfriend. So Brian left Pim. As time went on, Brian had no control over his finances. His pockets were running empty. All of his earnings, his pension was running dry. He asked his friend in the United States for help. He told Brian, "I have no money for you." He asked an expat friend living in Thailand for help. He said, "I have no money either, Brian." Brian was on his phone one day. He texted his grandchildren, explaining the situation. They all were worried for him and told him he must come back home to United States, that they don't want him to be a walking piggy bank in Thailand, and they missed him. Brian waited for Pim to text him back. She never did. As time went on, Brian started to lose weight. His clothes got dirtier. He would roam the streets of Thailand, come across many Thai locals that were homeless. They were street beggars. Brian would never think to beg for money in his life, but ever since Pim and his experience with her family, everything just started to feel transactional to him. Eventually, Brian received some money from his grandchildren. He sold all his belongings. He had no choice but to book his plane ticket back to United States. Brian had only his knapsack on his back, no suitcase. He was ready to come back home. Brian got his flight and returned to United States. He had only been in Thailand for about 7 months, and he was already on a flight back to America. Brian was united with his children and his grandchildren. He was happy to see his family, and he never looked back at Thailand. As for Pim, she stopped working at the bar. She found some foreign men that could send her money each month while she leads them on. Rumor is now she's dating a local Thai man and is madly in love with him. So, to all you guys watching this video, let this video be a warning to foreign men that tried to find love abroad. If you like this video and want to see more AI-style videos, please comment down below. Leave a like on this video. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.